Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Alec.
And I'm Arden, and welcome to our first home in Dallas. Come on in.
Welcome to our newest Homeworthy series called Our First Home, where we meet young lovebirds who are building their first nest together.
Now we're the Taylors.
We're married.
These couples have both charming love stories and lovely homes.
It just feels great to be not only building a home, but building a life together.
So prepare to be swept off your feet by these incredible pairs and the places they call home. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Alec Keating. I'm the partner of a real estate development company, Keating Resources.
And my name is Arden Keating, and I'm an aspiring interior designer, and welcome to our first home. So today we're in our home in Dallas, Texas. It is a 4-story townhome with an additional rooftop in the historic neighborhood of St. Thomas.
So how did we meet? How did we fall in love? Arden and I met at SMU when we were freshmen, and we started dating when we were 19.
A few months ago, we got married at San Ysidro Ranch in Santa Barbara, and it was the most magical day. We were surrounded by all of our favorite people and family members in a really intimate, private ceremony with dinner and dancing to follow. It was everything I could have ever imagined, and I was so happy with how everything had turned out.
And it was just seamless, which not all weddings are, and we were really grateful for that. We went on our honeymoon to England. Despite living in Texas, we actually prefer colder weather, and spent our honeymoon in the English countryside, in the Cotswolds, Oxfordshire, and then ended in London. And it was just the wedding was the most perfect day, and those 2 weeks alone with my wife were, really special. What led us to choose this home? We love the neighborhood. St. Thomas is really the only walkable neighborhood in Dallas. It has a very European feel, and when we bought this home, we were 23, and we just wanted a townhome, and this one in particular was pretty new, and it was just a blank slate, a white box, which gave Arden the perfect opportunity to style it.
So welcome to our living room / kitchen area. This is one of my favorite spaces in the home just because it is where we always have friends over and family over, and we get to cook and hang out, and it just has beautiful natural light with also a lot of eclectic details. So this room just makes me really happy. So the very first time I ever stepped into this space, there were no design elements at all. It was a completely white box, which was great because I was able to do whatever with it, but it also didn't give me much of a direction. So coming up with a design that fit the space and fit the rest of the home was a little challenging, but we decided to make all of this beautiful wall molding that we had done because this wall is huge and it has no windows on it. And so to give it a little bit of architectural design and break up the two spaces, I thought that adding the wall molding would be a really nice touch, and I've always loved how it's turned out. And we've actually continued that through the rest of the home, and you'll see that later on the tour. One of my favorite pieces in the living room is this coffee table. It is incredibly heavy, so once it was placed, it does not move. But I love all the beautiful natural marbling, and it just is a neutral but has a little bit of color that ties into the rest of the room. My favorite things to do when I'm decorating a space is mix old and new together, because I feel like it tells a little bit of a story and gives a more authentic feel to your home. So one of my thrifted pieces that I have found here in Dallas is this beautiful Louis XVI chest from an antique store. It is a little beat up, but it is still beautiful, and I think it adds so much character to our home. I had a lot of fun when I was styling this piece in this space because I started with this Hermes scarf that Alec actually got me for my birthday one year, and it kind of resembles a map, and so I thought it would be a really beautiful piece if we had it framed and hung here. But I also love this vintage map, and I thought it would be really cool to kind of layer the two here and give another dimension to the table. I also love this vase from Blueprint. It is one of my favorite pieces just because it adds a little bit of a vintage flair, but also paired with the modern snake lamp. That's just kind of how my brain works a lot of times when I'm designing a space, is mixing the old and new throughout. I really like mixing patterns and textures and colors with pillows, and I actually got these at one of my favorite consignment shops here in Dallas on consignment, and it's walking distance, so it's a little bit dangerous for me, but I found these and they're just beautiful custom pillows, and they work perfectly in this space, especially paired with just a plain velvet kind of luscious pillow. This is one of my favorite couches in our home just because it's this really beautiful gray / taupe velvet, and it's extremely comfortable even though it looks a little stiff, but it works so well for just lounging throughout the day. And I love it paired with a more natural rug. It just has a nice juxtaposition to the different styles. So over on this side of the room, we have this beautiful credenza that's a little bit more modern, but I've paired it with this vintage print that is actually one of my favorite pieces in the entire house because the driver of this car is my great-grandfather, and this is his vintage 1927 Rolls-Royce Phantom 1, which is the same car that my grandfather drove me in our wedding in Santa Barbara this year. This car has been in my family for over 60 years, and throughout its time with us, it has driven roughly 50 couples on their wedding day, so it's incredibly special to be able to be driven by my grandfather and my dad to our ceremony in Montecito. So similar to the other side of the room, I have this beautiful vintage lamp that I got from a consignment store next to our favorite Marshall speaker that's a little bit of a retro style. We just love having music throughout the house during the day, and so it's nice that it looks so beautiful on the console table. So one of the most show-stopping pieces in this living room is our beautiful chandelier. It just glistens and glows in a perfect way and really helps bring down the ceiling and provides a lot of warmth, but also really fun, unique design element. So right behind our couch is our console table that I have styled with a fun just book stand that people can kind of flip through. This photo right here is actually taken at Squaw Valley in Lake Tahoe, which is very sentimental to our family, so I love having that open and having that retro picture there. This is a really fun piece. It is a menu from the Pickle Room in Santa Barbara, which is where we had our after party. One of our friends surprised us with it a couple weeks after our wedding, and I just loved how fun of a memory that was to have in our home. And right next to the menu, we have our custom wedding candle that we had burning at our wedding, as well as gifting it to all of our guests. And I love having this on recently just because it brings back all those beautiful memories from a couple months ago. So welcome to our kitchen. I love this space. I probably spend the most of my time here just because I love to cook almost every single meal every day. When I first walked into this house, like I said earlier, it was a white box, including the cabinets, and I really wanted to add a lot of dimension to the space. So we decided to paint the cabinets black, add the brass hardware to give it a little bit more of a vintage feel. We also recently installed these beautiful pendant lights. They used to be can lights, and I just love the way that they bring the ceiling down and add a lot more warmth to the space. One of my favorite design elements in the kitchen is this wallpaper mural that I actually installed myself, which I don't necessarily recommend, but I got it done. I also have paired this beautiful vintage frame on top of it to kind of frame out different elements of the wallpaper. I just love the color that it brings into this space against the white and the black. Admittedly, I'm a trial and error DIYer, and that was no exception with this wallpaper. So there was a lot of figuring out as I go, and I just love how it turned out. And I have not attempted wallpaper since, but I am looking to do so in the green room in maybe a couple months. I always loved the look of layering art on wallpaper, although I didn't want to cover up any of this beautiful scene. So I loved the idea of taking a frame that had no picture in it and then just framing out different aspects of the actual wallpaper. This is our dining table that we use for pretty much everything, whether it's formal or casual daily dinners. And I just love the scale and how it commands this space. I decided to pair it with this mirror on this back wall. As previously stated, there are no windows on this wall, and I really wanted to add some dimension and make it look like that is a window peering outside. So originally, when we were talking about what to put in this third square, my husband really wanted a piece of art, and I was a little bit hesitant because I didn't want it to look too repetitive with a picture there, a picture here, and a piece of art there. And so we looked for almost 3 years trying to find just the perfect piece. And a couple months ago, we were looking around Dallas and we saw this piece by Stephanie Strange. And I just loved how it blended in with the white wall, but also had a little bit of dimension, so it wasn't as stark as a black and white print or a mirror or a colored print or anything like that. So I love how this kind of blends into the wall, but also adds a little bit of character. And when you get up close to it, it really has a ton of detail. So it's really beautiful to look at. And now we're gonna go see the half bath, so follow me. And here we are at the half bath, which is on the same floor as the living and kitchen area. I added this beautiful Faro and Ball green wallpaper. Green is a theme in our house. It's my favorite color, so you'll be seeing a lot of that. And I wanted to add a lot of gold accents to kind of pick up the gold bees on the wallpaper. I've also painted this cabinet in a beautiful kind of mauve-y purple that is really nice and contrasting, but also blends the countertop as well. This mirror is a vintage mirror that I found at an antique shop and had installed as well, and I think it fits the space perfectly. We also have a collection of maps. My husband Alec loves different vintage maps, and so I kind of put all of his favorite ones in this bathroom, and it has a really kind of vintage feel against the modernness of the bee wallpaper.
So when it comes to design decisions, it's all Arden. Of course, I'm here to opine and help if she needs it, but most of the time she does not.
Which makes it really easy for me because I don't really have any pushback, which is really nice. My favorite space in our entire home is this room right here, because it has such beautiful natural light, but it's also where we spend most of our time because we love to cook. And it's just nice for one of us to be sitting here and still be able to see each other while someone's cooking. And it's just a space that all of our friends gather all the time.
My favorite space is the green room, which you'll see later. And I love it because it's our lounge room, it's our movie room. It's a place that I can go and watch all my favorite TV shows, movies, and just really relax after a long day.
The original vision for our home was more of a modern Parisian style, although throughout the years and our travels, I've been really inspired by all of our travels. So now our home really reflects a more eclectic style where I've blended different places and pieces that I've just loved over the past few years. Okay, let's head upstairs and I'll take you to our primary bedroom. So here we are in our primary bedroom. My entire inspiration for this room was to try to replicate a 5-star European hotel. And we started off with this wrought iron bed frame and paired with the beautiful curtain in the background. I also love when hotels have little sconces that are just a nice, cute touch that add a little bit of character. We recently upgraded all of our bedding to Boll and Branch. I believe it is the Reserve line, and it is absolutely amazing and extremely comfortable and feels just like the best hotel bed. And on this side of the room, we have this really cute little settee that's a little bit more modern or mid-century modern, which I love pairing with more of the eclectic kind of vintage elements in the rest of the room. I love these bedside tables just because it has a lot of drawers that you can put all your chargers in when you're not using them, so it always looks super clean and crisp. I also just replaced these lampshades they used to be a black drum, which was very beautiful, but I wanted something that showed a little bit more light through, and I love how it kind of creates these stripes, which I tend to use stripes a lot throughout the room, and it mimics the stripes on the other elements, but with light instead. So this is one of my favorite corners in our home just because it features this adorable little pig that was gifted to us from San Ysidro Ranch, and the significance of it is in ancient Chinese culture, having a pig in your home meant that your home was protected and hopefully brought you a bountiful life. This little pillow always makes me smile. It was a gift from one of my best friends, and it says, "The best things in life are free, and the second best are very expensive." And I completely agree. Okay, now let's head over to the green room and we'll meet Alec there.
Welcome to the green room. Like I said earlier, this is my favorite room. It's the perfect place for me to relax, lounge, watch movies with friends and my wife. When we first bought this home, this room, I think the right way to say it is it lacked character. And Arden's really made it the most peaceful place in the house for me. Couple things I love about this room are these two posters right here, Chicago and San Luis Obispo. I'm from Chicago, my wife Arden's from San Luis, so it's just a little ode to our hometowns.
So one of the really fun elements in this room, because it functions mostly as a movie room, is this little vintage bar cart that I kind of turned into a little candy cart. And we have little cups here and a little scoop, and you can take all of your favorite candy and then go back down and sit and watch your movie. When we first moved in, this bar was existing, although it didn't have any of this really interesting shelving. I found someone on Etsy who hand makes all of this and ships it to you, and we had it installed. One of the first things we really did in the house, because I just knew that the space needed a really cool shelving unit, whether it was for decorations or glassware or whatever we wanted to store up there. We also recently had these vintage inspired bar lights hung. They really reminded me of an old school bar or diner, and I thought it would be a fun element to kind of bring into this room. These bar stools are some of my favorite in our house just because the masculine tone of them with the leather and the metal really fits the rest of the space, but also the brass matches with the shelving unit, so I think it's all very cohesive. I also love a bar stool that has a back as opposed to just a stool. So these are actually not just beautiful, but also very functional.
My favorite piece in this room is this chaise, and it's my favorite piece because I had it in my bedroom growing up, and it's just such a timeless piece, and I'm really glad that we're able to incorporate it into our home today.
I love having this console in this space just because, similar to the bar stools, it feels very masculine with this interesting like cut wood tone. But I also love how it brings in a little bit more of a design element and it brings interest alongside the actual TV. So you're not just focused on the TV, but you're also focused on this beautiful wood center console. I've been loving this new centerpiece that I just found from actually a classmate of mine who started a store. And this is from her website called The Favorites. It is incredibly cool and high quality, and I just love it paired right here. You can also move it around, and I hope one day when I'm hosting something that I can fill it with all different types of snacks, and it would just be a really interesting way to serve your guests. So when I was thinking about this room, I really wanted it to be a functional space, but also that felt extremely plush and comfortable for everyone. And so when we decided on this couch, I wanted a very large scale ottoman so that you could actually push it up against the couch or in the corner and kind of create multiple chaises for other people if you have 3 or 4 people on this couch. And this is the perfect size, and it's incredibly comfortable. And I love this fabric. It is a little bit of a modern cheetah print in a way. It also functions as a neutral, even though it is a print, which is a fun way to add some pattern and texture into this room. One of the newest additions to this space is this moon globe light fixture. At night, it's really cool because I put it on a dimmer, and so you can turn off all the lights in here, and it just softly glows kind of like the moon. And it's very dark in here because of the green paint, and so it kind of reminds you of being a little bit outside and just being really cozy. Throughout the whole home, we have continued all of the wall molding, and that was really important to us to keep it cohesive and a nod to the original design of the modern Parisian style. And we chose this beautiful green color by Ferrum Ball because it is, again, Alec and I's favorite color. And it just creates such a moody design in this room and really adds to the overall feel.
My advice for first-time home buyers is, you have to understand that owning a home is a big commitment. Emotionally, financially, things are always breaking. It's expensive to own a home, and you're gonna be in your home for a while, so you want to make sure you do your due diligence, study as many homes as possible, find the neighborhood that you wanna be in, and make sure that it's a place you'd wanna be for a decade, even if you end up moving after 2 years. Just make sure that you find the right place for you.
My piece of advice for any first-time home buyers is to really focus on the quality of your home, not necessarily the interior design, because you will be able to change that over time, whereas you're not going to be able to go back and change the quality of your home, and if you do, it's going to be very expensive. So I would focus on what the bones are and not necessarily what the style is. So this is our guest room right off of the green room, and I love this room even though it's very different from the rest of our house. It's a lot lighter, brighter, more colorful, but it's nice to have a little bit of a change for our guests. One of my favorite elements in this space is this beautiful print by Gray Malin of Plage Keller in the south of France, and it just makes me happy every single time I look at it. Because this room gets so much natural light, I wanted to keep it very light and airy in contrast to the green room, which is much more moody, much more cozy. This is just like a breath of fresh air every time I walk in it.
What does this home mean to me? I think that, all relationships can be difficult, and we were together for 6 years, and I think that our relationship after moving into this home really blossomed, and it feels like it's been perfect ever since, which is a really special feeling. And this is where we're gonna have our first child. We built this home together, or we did the interior design together, and it's just a place that I never want to sell because it has so much sentimental value to me, just because of everything that we've experienced here together.
I definitely agree with everything that you just said, but in general, I think home to me is a place where you feel comfortable having all of your friends over or family and having a spot to entertain and just make memories together.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.